Legendary Mr. Skin.
Dude, Mr. Skin.
MrSkin.com.
Skin, everybody.
When it comes to naked celebrities, Mr. Skin knows all and shows all.
Hello, everybody. It's Mr. Skin from Skin Central in Chicago, or as we like to call it, the Skindy City. And I'm very excited today. Normally, Jimmy would be doing this intro, but he is on vacation with his wife in Italy. And as you guys know, nudity never rests. The show must go on. And I'm really excited today because not only am I joined by Andrea Lowell out in L.A.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Andrea, how are you?
I'm well.
But we have a special kind of co-host. I'm calling her a co-host, but we're going to interview her too. It's someone I really admire. It's Dr. Emily Morse, who is an author, TV star, product pitch person, but most importantly, the woman behind the amazing podcast Sex with Emily, the #1 sex podcast on iTunes. And Andrew, if you haven't listened yet, please do, because this is one of my must-subscribe podcasts. And in fact, Andrew, if I wasn't a subscriber, I wouldn't have known that August was Anal Sex Month. And by the way, it's not just me who's a big fan of Emily and her podcast.
Anal sex.
And anal sex, yes. But it's Emily has over 1 million likes on her Facebook page. I am blown away by that. That's so cool. And Emily, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We're going to have a lot of fun today. And I am too, because I'm big fans of both of you guys. And we're going to have a lot of fun. But thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
I'm so excited to be here. Congratulations on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks.
You
know, Andrea, I met Emily from, I think, now correct me if I'm wrong, because I've known you now for quite a while, and I want to make sure when we actually met, but I think it's when I first went on Loveline with Mike Catherwood and Dr. Drew. Weren't you in studio?
Yes,
that's how I met you?
I was hosting Loveline the last 5 years before. Yeah, exactly. So I probably met you about 4 years ago. I
know, it's incredible. And here's another thing. Now, I've been actually a guest on Emily's podcast a few times, which was cool. And the funny thing is, Andrea, she was doing this. What year did you start? Was it like 05? I mean, she was doing podcasts to when she asked me to be on the podcast. I said, what's a podcast? Yeah, I had no idea.
No, Emily is... You're a pioneer, not only in the podcast world, but getting sex mainstream and for people to talk about it. Mr. Skin, you may not know this, but I've interviewed Emily twice, once on the Playboy Morning Show and most recently on Talking Dirty on Playboy TV. So I'm so familiar with her work and the biggest fan. So this show today with all three of us is going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And that's the thing is Emily is not only obviously Sex with Emily podcast. Like I said, please subscribe or check it out. It's awesome. But she's also just a good person. I've gotten to know her personally. And I remember even when we've had even business talks where, you know, I've been doing Mr. Skin for 17 years and her business has started to take off. And we've had conversations where we chat a little about, you know, is there anything I could do to help you with what people don't understand is, she's great with the sex talk and the podcast. But man, that other side of it, trying to run a business. And believe me, I know about it with 45 employees over here. That's a whole other animal trying to figure that stuff out.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you've helped me a lot too. I appreciate it. Yeah. We all help each other, right? We're all in this business. We're trying to do something that's really not mainstream, right? Sex. In all these different realms. Andrea, you've been doing your shows for a long time. I know on Playboy, Mm-hmm. You've had a long history of doing this. And Mr. Skin, it's like we go into the room and everyone wants to talk to us, right? Because we're doing something in sex and nudity, but yet the mainstream world trying to make a business out of sex can be hard, which sort of seems like an interesting juxtaposition in our culture, which we think is sex is everywhere, but yet we're also very, prudent in a lot.
Well, I find it funny the places people ask me, like I'll be literally sitting at a charity event in a tuxedo with huge businessmen. Like I'm talking incredibly wealthy, successful businessmen. They don't want to talk business. They want to talk sex and movies. Because I'm the guy. I'm the funnest guy at any table I go to, without question.
It's true.
Not the smartest, the funnest. Yeah.
No, it's true. And I've even had times where I'm like, okay, can we not bring up sex? Can we just not? I'm just going to say I'm a producer, But sure enough, because sometimes I'm like, I don't want to talk about sex all night. This is my friend's birthday party. But sure enough, I'll be like in the corner and someone will be like, so tell me about the best way to give a blowjob or deep throat trick you have. I'm like, oh.
Hey, Emily, no one's asked me that, but I can tell you that I've literally been at funerals and people have asked me nudity questions. So I got to draw the line. That's where I draw the line is at funerals. So.
Now, Emily, I'm so fascinated. I didn't realize until Mr. Skin just said that August is anal month.
Yes, anal sex month.
What are your top 3 tips for getting it in the back door, babe?
That's a great. You know what? That's the best question ever. The top 3 tips, okay? Because we just got a few days left, people. We just got a few days left, so we got to get this right. I would say number 1 is lube. I wouldn't even say 1, 2, and 3 is lube, but that's boring. But the truth is that to emphasize my point, you've got to use a lot of lube. You've got to be warmed up because lube, your butt does not naturally create the kind of lubrication you need. Then I would say slow down, and breath is so important. People stress out when they've never had anal or thinking about having it, or even if they have had it a lot, people get tense.
Yeah,
they relax. You got to relax. You got to go slow. You got to use a lot of lube, and you got to communicate. I guess that's like 4, but it would be lube, breath, communicate, pay attention to your partner.
Wow.
Yes.
Hold on. What was number 3?
Communicate. Exactly. Pay attention and communicate.
Hey, I'm taking notes. I have a pen. I have lube, slow down and breathe, and communicate.
Yeah. While we're on the subject, as a guy that, hasn't been working the streets for quite some time, I've been married for a while. In dating, how often would you say, I know in marriage what the percentage is, but in dating, how much anal sex is going on out there realistically?
Casual dating, like, hey, second date, let's go home and have a...
You don't go second date anal.
No,
I can't
but
imagine.
you're saying casual relationships or people having anal. I mean, I think that anal is on the menu now more than... than it used to be. I say, because I started this 10 years ago, before anyone, people are just figuring out podcasting like this year, I think, which is great. But no, 10 years ago, I used to say, God, people are starting to ask more about anal. And I thought, God, anal's like the new blowjob. It's like, I didn't remember people talking about anal 15 years ago, for example. And now I think squirting's the new anal, but that's a whole other thing. Like everyone wants to talk about squirting, but I think anal is more on the menu than not, that people sort of have this assumption that that's what's, women, I think my big thing about anal sex is that a lot of women in particular have like a really bad first time or one time experience with anal where the guy does not use lube, does not pay attention and just puts it in. The woman's like, that back door is closed forever.
Oh, never say never.
Never say forever. So I say to these people, wait a minute. Okay, you had a bad experience. Someone put it in. They didn't pay attention. And so I talk to a lot of women. I'm kind of like in recovery. I want to try it. And I'm like, slow down, use lube. But I don't, I can't say. I could do a poll for you, Mr. Skin, and on my site and let you know. But I think, again, it's more common than not. Like it's just not every day. I think it's like not those everyday things, but the more I talk to, they're like, yeah, I really like it. I'm into it. So
yeah, it's definitely in the rotation now.
Yeah, it's in the rotation. Thank you.
It's in the okay, because I remember my first time. It was really painful, but the guy was huge.
Mr. Skin.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like you're one of us. Thank you. You know what it's
yeah. No, but one other thing. Here's a quick question about that, because I remember after I graduated college, like 10, 15 years after I graduated college, I'd hear stuff where girls would claim that if they had anal sex, they were remaining a virgin. What's your call on anal? Is anal sex?
No, I don't think. It's like the butthole loop. Butthole is a loophole. Have you heard?
Right.
Wow. Hold on, I'm writing that one down.
Black hole loophole.
Like, butthole's the loophole. I'm still a virgin if you do it. No, I mean, yes, of course, technically speaking, perhaps if you define in, having sex or losing your virginity through your popping your cherry, your vagina, then yeah, but that's such a mistake. I hope kids aren't still believing that these days. Really,
I'm with you, Emily.
Yeah, right? It's such a bummer. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, well, I can do the loophole butthole, but no.
Yeah, I don't know. No, but that's the thing, because it is fun. And when I listen, and I've been listening, I subscribe to Emily's podcast, and then I'll pop them in, and it's these little things. The other thing, it's as for guys out there too, because I know we have a lot of obviously male listeners to the show, but what's cool about Emily's stuff, you do learn a lot of things about sex, but then you also, and Emily, I hope you're not offended with this, but like you'll tell stories of sexual things that have happened in your past. I remember one time you were talking about your first sexual encounter on I think you were on a cruise ship or something, and it was kind of like it was sexy. I mean, I enjoyed it from it wasn't like, it was cool. On one hand, you learn a lot, but then it's also a lot of cool, sexy talk, and I dug that too. So you get it all on your podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not too heavy. Yeah, I'm teaching people, but it's also fun. I think it's kind of more, it relates to a lot of different people because people are highly entertained, but you're also, I better buy some lube next time. So they're learning stuff, and they're also, the cruise ship story. That's right. I think Menace, my co-host, asked me the first time a guy, I don't know what, touched me or uses, I don't remember. You didn't do it.
Yeah, I can't remember. You guys, you were talking like your first time. Yeah, I think it was the first time.
His fingers on my vagina, touched my
yes.
And I was on a cruise ship. I was like 14, and it was super sexy. Yeah. No, not.
You know what? A lot of wild stuff happens on cruise ships. I had a lot of firsts on cruise ships, too. There's something about being on the water. Like, it just opens people up.
Literally. I know. Right? Yes. There's alcohol's flowing. Everything's legal when you're on the seas, Or so we say.
By the way, Jimmy Fallon, who's Jimmy Fallon? No, this is so much fun talking to you guys. And actually today, one of the things I want to do, because I have, two sex experts in a sense for here with me, is I really want to get, for what I do, obviously celebrity nudity in film and television, I really want to get a female perspective on this stuff. So the stuff we're going to talk about today, I'm really going to want to ask you guys and get from girls that both know a lot about sex and nudity, what you think. So we're going to go there. Before I get there, though, I do want to ask, because I don't know if people know this about Emily. So I know you went to Michigan undergrad, that I remember, and then you were in politics. And the question I have is, how do you get from, poli-sci and all that to become, doctor of human sexuality? How does that happen?
Exactly. That's a really good question. I get asked, it seems like it's very disjointed, but I was very, moved to, I'm from the Midwest, like you, moved from Michigan to San Francisco to work in politics, wanted to change the world in that way, getting more women elected to higher power. And then I became sort of disillusioned. I did do it for 10 years. And I was like, God, these characters in politics are fascinating. So I directed this documentary about Willie Brown in San Francisco and all these political figures. And I made this film. It's called See How They Run. I think you can get it on like iTunes and Netflix. Mm-hmm. But then I thought after that, God, I just liked it. And it was funny because even in politics, I'd be talking to people and then I would be like, they'd say, I'm married. I'm like, well, how long have you been married? How's that going for you? How'd you meet? And I've always been fascinated by relationships and sex. And how do people stay married for so, like, it seems like if the divorce rate is 50%, right? That's like a failing grade. Why is everyone coveting this as the end goal of life that's going to make them happy to get married in an institution that's 50% failure rate? And a lot of times people say, well, you know what? It was, they're not having sex anymore. And I'm like, well, I have great sex and I'm not, like, I was just trying to figure out the connection. So I invited a bunch of people in my house. It was a first year podcast. I read about podcasting. I was like, that sounds cool. I could interview people without the cameras, like a documentary, and just no makeup, no getting ready, and just invite people. Yeah. And I had a bunch of people in my living room and I just interviewed them about their sex life, their relationship, how they met, dating. And that's really when it started. And I was no expert. I was really just trying to figure out answers for myself that I knew a lot of people also wanted answered. Like, how do you have great sex? How do you continue to sustain a long-term relationship where you're intimate and you live together and you have children and that yet you still are having amazing sex? How does that all fit together? Or even if you're single, how do you take back your sexuality and figure out what feels good to you? So over the years, it's and then I got my doctorate, 5-6 years ago and interviewed hundreds of, 1,000 people maybe. So that's really how it came about. And then this is just no turning back. Like the first time I did my show, I interviewed for 6 hours and I was like, this is it. Because sex is like, I'm forever infinitely interested in how it works, what makes people feel good. And, I had to do a lot of experimenting along the way, which didn't suck.
Yeah. You went from poli-sci to poly-bi. Yeah,
exactly. Right. I mean, Andrea, you probably do. We get so many toys and fun. I mean,
oh, yeah. It's fantastic. And you're always a perpetual student. As much as we educate, we're also learning at the same time. It's so gratifying. And I love how your story is so organic. I'm so happy for you, babe.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. You too. I had a blast on your show. So we got to do that again.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And it's fascinating to hear this. And what I want to do now is kind of go the route I usually go, talk a little about, what's out there. But really, today is going to want to get your guys' opinion on some of this stuff. One of the things that And I hope Maddie D has. Oh, Maddie, could you get? I didn't pull up that link to the page. If you could hit me with the link so I could look at it too. But so there was a nude scene, a movie called Too Late, and this actress named Vale Bloom. I know nobody out there's heard of her, but we were all kind of at the Mr. Skin offices really digging this nude scene because the girl is walking around in just a shirt and she is sporting a rather healthy bush, which we don't see too much of, overall at MrSkin.com. And I just wanted to get your guys' opinion. And by the way, we will always post this stuff at MrSkinPodcast.com. So because what fun is nudity if you can't see it? So we'll have that up. But my question for you guys is, I feel like the pendulum is sort of swinging back, and I know Andrea knows this. Emily, I don't know if you know this, but I'm a guy. When I was a kid looking at my first magazines in the 70s, big, huge 70s bush. I was a big fan of it. And, I've seen since I started this website 17 years ago, less and less of what I loved from the 70s and 80s and more like shaved or landing strips. But I'm kind of sensing over what I've been seeing in nude scenes over the last 3 or 4 years where the bush is making a comeback. And I want to know what you guys think, and even socially, what you're seeing in the locker room. Is this, am I imagining this, or is this true?
I 100% agree with you. I think it is making a comeback. When you look at the pictures of Vale Bloom, she has a bush, but it's super manicured. It's not wild. Yes. It's not out of control. I don't think we will ever see a full 70s bush again unless we're watching a period piece in a movie. But as far as like the locker room's concerned, unless girls or ladies rather, have completely lasered it all off, I'm seeing a return of bush. What about you, Emily?
Yeah, is the bush back? That's what I'm always I get asked this all the time. And I think that I think women want the bush to be back a little bit.
Oh,
I think,
less maintenance.
Right? So what'd you say? Right?
Well, that's a question.
It's annoying.
Is it a laziness thing or a style thing?
Kind of both.
It's both. It's like, can we just let it grow? No, but I think Andrea 100% right. We don't even want that. We don't want to go to the beach and have to be like tucking in our pubic hair before we take off our shorts because it's sticking out of our, like, it's not going to be that crazy again, right? Like there's some pubes coming down my left thigh. Like, no, I think we are going to have it like manicured and stuff like that, manicured and cut. Cause also here's the thing about it is that even like, it feels better for women to have less hair. We are, the clitoris has 8,000 nerve endings. Like, why cover any of that up? Have it to be inhibited by hair. So sex can actually feel better when you add a little bit of lube and you remove the hair. But you can remove some of the hair, not all the hair. So it's like bare like a baby's bottom. So I do think that hopefully women are feeling empowered to just kind of bring it back however they want.
Yeah. Emily, you mentioned about going swimming. I got to tell you, and this is a memory I'll never forget. When I was a kid, like in 4th or 5th grade in the 70s, I was at the local pool, and my friend's mom was just sitting there talking to her friends, and she had the big vines hanging out on each side of
Jesus.
And to this day, it's like vivid memory of seeing my friend's mom's bush hanging out of her bathing suit. I still, to this day, have that ingrained in my head. That could explain a lot of my issues.
I have the same memory, and it's also ingrained in my mind. It was a friend's mom, and this was before I had pubic hair, so I was like, what in the hell is that? And it kind of terrified me, and I think it traumatized me a little bit.
Well, we call that when we find that at Mr. Skin, and there has been many movies, especially in the 70s or 80s, where that happens outside of women's underwear. We affectionately call that the caged monkey. Yeah. See, this is the kind of stuff Emily will not have on her podcast, but here you will hear the word caged monkey.
I love caged monkey, and I love all the things I hear from you. Like the first time I heard I'm going to do it wrong, the back burger or whatever.
Back burger,
the rear burger.
Yeah, Dr. Drew and I were just like, the burger. We talk about it all the time. The back burger. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I mean, here's the thing though. When I even got lasered, I got lasered. I just the areas,
I have laser too.
So lasered being it's gone.
It's gone forever. But this is
gone forever. But not everything, right? Not everything.
No, because I thought to myself, what if the bush comes back? What if I want my bush back? I don't want to give up the power of ever having my bush back. I would like to. So I only got rid of the stuff that I know I would never want back. That stuff that would crawl down the side of my legs.
Yeah, so I'm with you, Emily. Yeah.
You don't think the crawl down the side of your legs will ever come back in style?
If it does, I'm cool to step that.
Boy, I'll be back out there if that's the case. No, I mean, it's just a memory I have from the 70s.
That's a good one.
But would you say, here's what I've also noticed from movies, and tell me if you guys see this in real life, is landing strips were more 2000s and maybe 90s, and in the 10s, I'm seeing more of a triangle. Does that sound right? Like, is landing strips still happening as much as it was in the 2000s?
You know, what I noticed was there were really hard lines in the late 90s and the early 2000s where it was like, manicured specifically to be that hard, tiny, Scotch tape width and length of pubic hair. Now I feel it's softer. The lines aren't so defined. It's more kind of blended out, like a fade.
Yeah. Okay.
It's more like when they do your haircut, like when you're getting your hair, like your hair and your head cut, they do kind of like a layering. It's kind of like that look. Like it's not as manicured. You didn't try as hard to get my friend once called it the Hitler's mustache.
Hitler mustache.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
Sorry, I mean, it's not very PC. I'm Jewish. It's okay, right? I can say this. With Hitler stuff,
yeah.
But no,
you could be angry. Yeah.
I think that, I think it's a little more messier now, but still trimmed. So it's like a little messier, whatever style you want. And
like
it's
our friend Vale Bloom from Too Late is what Andrew was saying. Is she has a triangle, but it's a putting green triangle.
Exactly.
Which is nice. Well, I'll tell you another thing that's been tough, not only for me but my crack staff here at Mr. Skin is these Merkins.
Oh Jesus!
And Merkins is thrown up. Okay, it's very difficult. We have these debates here at the office and meetings. And okay, so if a girl's wearing a Merkin, one good example is Olivia Wilde in Vinyl, which was one of my favorite nude scenes so far this year. She was full frontal, but the problem was she's wearing this, it's almost like a furkini.
Yeah.
Because Vinyl was based in the 70s and she had a nude scene where she was completely naked and she wanted to look realistic. Now, here's the issue. Is that a full frontal nude scene?
No.
Well, right. That's it.
Because she's wearing the Merkin and it's not really her.
Because it's like wearing a bikini bottom,
right?
to be
that's
honest.
True. That's true. You're not seeing anything.
Here's my issue with this, though. Prosthetics and wigs and Hollywood hair and makeup have come so far. Why is that Merkin so obviously fake? It's
because it's thick.
It's too dense, and I don't like it. They could have done such a better job. I'm very unhappy with whoever.
By the way,
Merkin
Emily,
was.
if hopefully Maddie
I've got
sent
it here.
the
No,
link because I want you to see Merkin if we're talking about Merkin.
I'm looking right at the Merkin here, and you're right. It looks like pretty much like it's a bikini, like a furry little bikini or something. She's going to Halloween, a furkini.
Yeah, but it's still a great nude scene. But it's like I feel cheated in that.
I do too.
I feel cheated in that it's almost like she's wearing a bikini bottom in the scene. But I'm still. This still will make my top 10 nude scenes of the year because it's Olivia Wilde and the breasts and butt were her in the scene. It was still great. But man, the Merkin's it's tough. Also, very difficult sometimes for us to tell if it's a Merkin or their regular pubic hair. Sometimes, not every time.
Right.
In this instance, she did a lot of interviews saying how funny it was walking on the set with this thing. But I could tell fake breasts and real breasts pretty easy. A Merkin, sometimes we have to wait for the director's commentary or someone working on the set to spill the beans. So anyway, so the Bush has been a big deal, but I still think we're seeing a little bit more of it than I was when I started this website 17 years ago.
And my question is, though, I'm wondering how people who were a little bit younger in their 20s right now who grew up, they never saw it. It was like something like a relic if they found their grandfather's Playboy. How do they find this sexy and attractive? Do they want the Bush to come back? Is there going to be a movement that's like no Bush? Like, I'm just curious how people are going to react because you have a early erotic memory of that. I'm thinking Mr. Skin that turned you on. But for guys who are like never, they're like, I don't understand this. It does not compute into my erotic brain. I'm just wondering if there'll be if there'll be some kind of a
pubic revolt.
I think we could all agree that Merkin technology is the curse of the modern age. I think we can all agree on that. Yes. So anyway, it was. I really wanted to get your guys' perspective on Bush, and that it was great because I know guys are a lot more visual, but I love to hear what's going on in the locker rooms across America.
Here's the other thing: people are asking me in the last year, Andrea, tell me if you feel this way because I'm sure your girlfriend, you're the go-to because people come to you probably for everything as well.
Oh yeah.
My friends are all like, it used to be like, which toy? I mean, it still is always what toy should I get, but they're like, what do I do? Like, I'm going to get a bikini wax, Emily. What? They're like asking me, like, what is right? Because I think everybody's very confused. Like, they almost want me to come with them and consult as their like pube stylist. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. What feels comfortable to you? I can't think of anything goes. Like, you know what I mean?
You're the pube whisperer.
I'm the pube whisperer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what? It needs to be a conversation that these women are having with their partners. I've had the conversation with my partner, and it was like, what do you like? And he said, honestly, I don't care, so do whatever you like. And that was very relieving for me to hear because, I was thinking, he's going to want bald eagle all the time, and that's so much maintenance, and that's so much, just work. But the fact that he didn't care made it much easier for me. So what I suggest always is, let's clean up the ass crack, and let's clean up the bathing suit area. If it, just like we said earlier, if it's gonna do the caged monkey, get rid of it.
Right.
Right. Except if you were dating me, I demand caged monkey.
Well, now we all know what Mrs. Skin is rocking.
No, unfortunately, Mrs. Skin snuck a laser by me about 10 years ago on the side, so it's. That was not approved. She snuck out.
Is she going to get a merkin in her stocking this Christmas?
Well, you know what? Sad but true. I've been thinking about that. But she does. She does listen to the podcast. So, hey, Maddie, could you delete that? Could you delete this part after the show?
We'll take it out.
Yeah, thank you.
I love it.
Yeah. Anyway, now I want to move on because I don't know, Emily. This podcast, we actually have a line you could call in and ask us questions. It's 304 Talk Skin, and we've actually got a lot of cool questions. I want to try to answer at least one a week. And I tell Maddie D to you pick one and just ask me. I want to kind of do it
on the fly.
On the fly here. So, Maddie, please pull one up and hopefully it's a good one that I'll know the answer to. So.
Hey, Mr. Skin, this is Doug in Detroit. I love the podcast.
Emily, Detroit.
You, Andrea, and Jimmy make for a great threesome, much better than the threesome we saw in the Laura Flynn Boyle flick of the same name, for sure. I'd like to know, Mr. Skin, about the first time a celebrity made direct contact with you about her being on MrSkin.com.
Oh, good one.
That's a good question.
Did she think you were a perv? And how did you handle it? Great show. Keep it up.
Oh, cool. Thanks a lot. That is a good. Thanks, Maddie. That's a good question. I got to say this. I get asked this question. One question I get is, what do actresses think about what you do overall? And I got to tell you, in all honesty, I've been doing this 17 years. It's been so positive. We don't rip actresses on the website. Like, I'm not here saying, oh, that's a disgusting scene. She could have kept her clothes on. We truly celebrate nudity in film. So we've always gone with that motto at the website. I don't care if it's Kathy Bates, whoever it is, we're happy when an actress does a nude scene. And that kind of comes through in the passion and all that at the website when you go there. As far as actual contact with actresses, now I do live in Chicago. I'm not like Emily and Andrea, where they're rubbing elbows with celebrities all the time. But where I get a lot of my contact with actresses is usually through email or Twitter. And just, I don't know I think he asked me the very first time an actress mentioned this to me. I do not recall that, but I do have some stories. Like, one example was, I think it was about 2012 when we did every year, Emily, I do a top 10 nude scenes of the year. And there was this girl, kind of an unknown actress. She was in a movie called About Cherry. And normally I try to go with celebrities on my year-end list, but she was so gorgeous and it was so sexy. And I just said, screw it. She's the number one nude scene of the year, even though she's not famous. And I remember she tweeted to us, like, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be known as the best, nude scene of the year. So that was really cool. I remember Eva Amore, who is Susan Sarandon's daughter, Eva Murray, Susan Sarandon's daughter, who was on Californication and did this amazing nude scene. And I called, we said in the Anatomy Awards, I mean, those are the best breasts, no question about it. She, on Twitter, was so honored and happy. I was like, oh my God. And and then something even cooler than that, last Anatomy Awards in February, I was on the Howard Stern show, and one of the awards I gave was Best Sex with a Teddy Bear, where Sarah Silverman was in this movie called I Smile Back, and she was masturbating. Yeah, Andrew, I think I talked about this on your show, and she was masturbating on the floor. She played this psychotic suburban housewife, and she was masturbating with the teddy bear in the bedroom with her 10-year-old daughter sleeping in the bed, and she's on the floor masturbating. It was crazy, right? She had some drug issues or whatever. The guys in the Howard Stern show surprised me by having her do an acceptance speech for winning this. Yeah, it was so cool, and it was very. She made a joke about it, but the fact of the matter, she thought it was fun that she won this Anatomy Award. But and I'd probably say for this guy, probably the coolest celebrity moment I ever had was, you guys all know Denise Richards.
Oh yeah,
Wild Things.
Yeah.
So she used to have a reality show called It's Complicated, and they did I can't remember why, but she was online and they found out that she was on MrSkin.com. So they went to the page that she was in. This must have been about 10 years ago or so. And she was looking at her page on the show and saw that she was in the Mr. Skin Hall of Fame and raised her hands, and she was so excited. Maddie, I know that clip is on our site. Would you be able to pull that up? Because I think we have it. Do you know where to find it?
I got it.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Look at that crack staff.
Maddie D, my crack staff. Yeah, listen to this. This was really cool.
Oh, this should be good. Denise Richards on MrSkin.com. Okay, here's your proof. Wild Things, the nude scene is the highest rated clip on MrSkin.com. This is your image. This is how the world thinks of you.
I remember that like it was yesterday.
You know who else remembers it? The whole world. Oh, my. I don't know if I can watch this.
I haven't seen this since it came out.
4 stars for the Hall of Fame nudity.
Awesome. That goes to show you I should do it while I can. And then maybe I could get my boobs done before I do it, because they do not look
You were
like...
going in the wrong direction.
Very cool, yeah.
So that was nice. I like that.
The fact that when the actresses have fun with it, that makes me happy, because we truly don't ever say bad things about a nude scene. We're so happy when actresses
Mr.
get
Skin,
naked.
have you ever had someone's agent, publicist, attorney reach out to you and say, you got to take this down, my client doesn't like it? You ever gotten super negative feedback from an actress?
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, it's usually 90% of the time when that happens, it's usually someone who maybe has gone on to be got into religion or became a school teacher. Like they did a B movie in the 90s that they were in like 2 movies and showed their boobs, and they're like,
okay.
Those are the ones that get a little upset. But the big celebrities, it really...
They don't care. I love that. Okay, cool.
No, it's been, like I said, overall in the time I've done this since 1999, it's been very, very positive. So anyway,
I think it's,
but that was a good call. What was
like,
that
I'm sitting there going, God, maybe I should do a nude scene so I could get in the Hall of... It's a goal.
Well,
goal.
I don't know if you know this, but Andrea's on MrSkin.com.
Oh, Andrea, jelly.
Yes.
Jelly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. You can, if you go to Mr. Skin and go to the Andrea Lowell page, you'll be very happy. So, yeah. Anyway, but that was a great question. Maddie D, make sure we get that guy some swag for calling in. And if anyone has questions for future episodes, just call 304-TALK-SKIN. And if Maddie pulls it up and I answer it, we'll definitely send you out some Mr. Skin swag. So,
love that.
Yeah. And now, I have you 2 girls here, gals, and this was something that I even went so far as the last week. I went around the Mr. Skin offices, and believe it or not, we do have some women that work here. How many would you say we have? About 8?
Yeah, I think so.
8 of our 40, 8 of our 45 employees. Cool. But they're all really cool and very big fans of sex and nudity in film. And I asked them this question: because we all know, or people that follow my website, I love Phoebe Cates and Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Alexandra Daddario,
right.
Sharon Stone's leg cross scene. Obviously, I'm into body parts like most guys are when it comes to sex and what turns them on. But I wanted to know the girls that work here that go through all these movies and write for us, and what are their favorite sex scenes, from a woman's point of view. And it was really cool. They gave me about 15 movies. I'm going to talk about maybe 5 of them. I want to just throw a few at you and maybe see you could help me to figure out, obviously guys still like this stuff, but it was kind of cool to see what the girls that worked here. And to give you an idea, one of the ones that came up from people working here, females, was Unfaithful. Remember that Diane Lane movie with Richard Gere and Oliver Martinez, the French guy, where she had an affair?
Oh, yes. Very vividly.
Yes. And that's a big one. And, I don't know if it's is it the turn on of the fantasy of an affair? Was it just because the guy's French? I know my wife always talks about, like, if a guy has a French accent, she'll take her clothes off in a second, joking around. She loves accents, right? Unfortunately, my Chicago accent doesn't work. But the
it's
French
turning me on right now, Mr. Skin.
Yeah,
I am actually
really
sitting
is.
on a towel because of the accent.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, Unfaithful is one that came through. But like another one they said was True Blood. Did you guys think like True Blood was the TV show was sexy with all the vampires and the guys and girls having sex?
I never really watched True Blood, but I'm looking at the stills from it, and what I'm seeing kind of the recurrent theme of the Diane Lane scene from Unfaithful and Anna Paquin in True Blood is the girls are natural. It seems to be passionate, almost ethereal. Like you said, that fantasy element. So I think that's kind of maybe the recurring theme with these so far.
Well, I remember, and I don't want to sound like a psycho Emily follower here, but I remember, because I do check out, you even have a blog and stuff, and I occasionally go through your blog just, when I'm doing my research. Right. And I remember you actually did a article, a blog about how for girls, like with men, it's obviously very visual. We care about body parts. Like if a girl has a great rack, that's a great nude scene or sex scene for us. Whereas the things that turn on women that you pointed out, I remember you were saying like it's like emotions and attractiveness and aesthetic and sexual chemistry and all the things guys are like, yeah, whatever.
Right. We want the kiss, we want the room. Yeah.
Yeah. And you were pointing out like, hey, there's actually some sites where you could go to where, it's more like, stuff that women would like.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Female friendly porn, as we call it, but it's not even about that. I mean, people are like, oh, what does that mean? It's more like we want a little bit of plot. We want romance. We want a little bit of okay. So foreplay, right? I always say, when I'm giving advice, like foreplay, it's not just like a light suggestion. It's like a requirement for women. So when we're watching some hot sex scene and there's like a lot of just like slowly taking the clothes off, or there's like where he's like seducing her and it's, maybe it is sort of ethereal with like the music playing and it's slow. I think that's my other sex tip across the board. One of my top is to go slow. So I think the scenes that are the sexiest are when you're kind of seeing that sort of happen, like the seduction part of it.
Seduction, yes.
Yeah.
Seduction and the tease. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of the common theme in all of these. And there are some great porn sites like Tumblr porn for women. Mm-hmm. It's really great because you can click around and look at different images. Like my friend has a site, Lady Cheeky is a great one. And there's another beautiful.
You should check out a newer website called Provoker.com is going. They're kind of trying to make it a website for females too. It's a newer site you should check out. It's very sexy, a lot of artistic. It's a cool site that maybe you should add that to your to-do list. Provoker.com. But yeah, it was like when I listen to you talk and I'm looking at the list from the girls from our office. They were 9.5 weeks came up a few times. Remember that?
Y tu Mama Tambien. I love that.
Y tu Mama Tambien. That was on our list. That the girls love that. Yes,
it's amazing. Yeah, and I was there. I was actually Y tu Mama Tambien. I was at the premiere at Sundance that year randomly. And
oh my God.
He was there. Gail Garcia Bernal. He was there in the audience. So can you just imagine? I'm like, oh my God, this is the hottest thing I've ever seen. But I think that was a seduction. That was a threesome that happened organically. And the woman was being like worshipped by these two guys. I mean, it was just, I think that's a lot of themes, right?
Yes.
So, and we just want to slow down. That's why I think it's interesting too in these movies that we're seeing like the breasts and we're not just seeing the pounding. Like that's fine. Sometimes we like that, but when we're seeing the undressing of it all. Yeah.
Well, it's really funny too that the girls from our office brought up Y tu Mama Tambien, and you brought it up. That threesome with Maribel Verdú and that is like, it's still to this day one of the hottest. It's her and two young guys, and my God, is that a hot scene? Really hot scene.
It's like slow and sexy and hot goals. Yeah, I like it. Right. That's why. I think that's why in all these things that we're looking at, like True Blood and Unfaithful, it is just sort of more of the seduction and the tease and the
another theme that came up too with the girls from our office was some lesbian scenes, and it was interesting because a couple of them liked the movie Chloe with Amanda Seyfried and Julianne Moore. And what's interesting about that is it was like a cougar kitten where it was the older woman, younger woman. Mm-hmm. And I've had a number of girls from our office, and I even did a little checking online about what women like. And this Chloe came up a lot. And I love it just because I think Amanda Seyfried's hot and Julianne Moore's hot. But it's interesting that women love that too. And it's the older woman, younger woman, that theme that is interesting. Maybe that's, I don't know if does anything for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, I'm attracted to, definitely attracted to two women being together, lesbian porn,
Me
women.
too.
And here's the thing. A lot of women write me and they're concerned. They're like, does it mean that I'm a lesbian? Because I really don't want to be with a woman. Like, I don't have any desire, but I think it's hot. And I just want people to feel better. Rest assured that a lot of women find that attractive. Women are beautiful. It's beautiful to see women seducing each other. And it doesn't mean that if you want it, great. But if you don't, like, there's nothing wrong with you. You can still desire your partner and still think that it's really hot to see two women getting it on, because I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, porn preference and sexual orientation are two different things.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think maybe the taboo factor too with the older woman, younger woman. But whatever. Yeah. It's really cool to see that you guys mentioned some of the same stuff that the girls here at the office mentioned.
So that's a job there.
Yeah.
Maybe we could even start working at the Empire. You want right?
Believe me.
Just like
yeah. Now, I also wanted to bring up every week, Emily, we kind of bring up something new from television or movies that's out that I thought maybe the listeners would be interested in. And this one that I have is a movie that is it's actually a 1970 movie, very obscure. I would never even be a movie I'd think about or people out there have probably ever heard of, but it's called Tell Me That You Love Me, Junie Moon, and it's out on Blu-ray this week. And it's a forgettable Otto Preminger movie. I think Roger Moore and Ken Howard, who went on to be in The White Shadows in the movie. But the reason it's kind of cool, and I don't think people out there are dying to see this actress naked, but I think everyone out there would be curious to see her nude. It's the only movie you could see Liza Minnelli naked in.
You know what? I love this. A lot of people, the only image they have of Liza Minnelli is, Arrested Development or, her older crazy hair, whatever. She really was a beautiful young woman. And when you see her alongside of her mom singing and dancing and doing these things, her body is incredible and her legs go on for days. So I'm very happy to see this.
It's just, it's one of those where there's certain actresses that, number one, you'd never suspect did nudity, and she's probably one of them. But
yeah,
the
I would have
other
never.
You're like kind of curious, like, is she going to look like Raquel? Does she look like Raquel Welch? You'd envision Raquel Welch to look like naked? No, but it's still pretty cool. So just Tell Me That You Love Me, Junie Moon is out on Blu-ray, so we have that at our website.
Because I'm looking, you said this clip.
Oh, good. We have pictures.
The reason why I think it's so hot is because you're actually seeing, again, this is the theme that we're seeing in what a lot of women like, is that he's gazing at her and she's undressing in the darkness, and you just see her back, but he's like looking at her and just gazing. And I think a lot of women have this fantasy. They just want to be like adored and cherished and worshipped. Yes, he's just watching her. His gaze does not move from her as she's like slowly undressing in front of him. And
he's mesmerized as she's peeling her down. I love it.
Peeling off her clothes. It's hot. Like I don't even know what's happening right. I'm not counting who you guys are here. I'm watching the scene.
Well, that is that is breaking nudes at MrSkin.com. So I wanted to bring that up, but I do want. There's one last thing. See, time flies when you're having fun, and there's one last thing I did want to talk to you guys about, and one of these things, Emily's right up your alley too. Is we do a segment now called Around the Web. We just introduced this, where it's where we look at some trending celebrity stories for the week that maybe aren't from movies or television that do involve celebrities, nudity, some skin, but like I said, that's not from my wheelhouse of movies and television, but I do want to talk about. And one is, and I don't know if you guys have seen this, this was big news at MrSkin.com over the weekend, but on Friday, that Julianne Hough from Dancing with the Stars, she's with her pals, Nina Dobrev, am I pronouncing that way? Nina Dobrev from Vampire Diaries, and this other girl, Melissa Sears. Julianne Hough posted an Instagram picture of them on a boat, and they are just showing, all of them are showing like the upper part of their butt, and the moon was out. The joke was full moons, but it's just so freaking hot, especially none of those girls have ever done nude scenes in a movie, but this is a big
hot
Instagram, very big Instagram pic that is making the rounds on the web, especially over the weekend. It was pretty cool.
I mean, this could almost be violating Instagram's rules, which I love. I'm obsessed with it. Julianne Hough and her two friends have incredible bodies, and I'm loving this photo. I love
how hot is that?
ass.
And by the way, Julianne Hough obviously is in the middle, and Nina's on the left, and the other girl that is less well known, Melissa Sears, is on the right. But my God,
it's just so hot, though, Mr. Skin, because you know that they have no bottoms on.
I know
it's so hot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, and it's funny because there is a moon in the pic because they're on a boat and it's twilight, so there's 4 moons you can see in the picture. So, yeah,
exactly. That's hot.
Yeah, so this is a big celebrity story that's going around. I just wanted to make sure you guys knew about it.
But I love that you're doing this. That you're going through the Instagram and finding where the nude's coming up. This is smart.
Just so you know, I don't go through Instagram because my daughter's on Instagram. I don't even know how to get on it. But when 3 hot chicks are showing their butt,
you'll figure it out.
I have people who will find that for me and show it to me.
I don't care if it's you. I'm glad Mr. Skin Enterprises is bringing this to us. I don't follow Julianne now. I will. Right?
Yeah.
This is
oh my God, that was awesome.
Hot.
Especially, and another thing too, like I said, we've never seen any of them nude, so that makes it extra fun.
News.
So, yep, very cool. So now another thing I wanted to get your guys' opinion on is, and I've been seeing a lot of this on the web over the last couple of months, is this Ariel Winter who plays Alex on Modern Family. She's only 18 years old, and she's been getting a lot of criticism. She's been posting some crazy Instagram pics of her, wearing the Daisy Duke shorts and high heels and her butt's hanging out. And she definitely doesn't have that traditional body that you're used to seeing from girls that maybe are showing it so much, but she's getting a lot of criticism. But I gotta say, to her credit, and I'm 100% with her, she's like, screw you. If you don't like it, don't follow me.
Right.
I'm living my life. I'm having fun. It's a butt. Who cares? But I just thought she's been probably trending as big as anyone over the last 6 months as far as just coverage of all her little Instagram pics and when she shows up at events and her deep cleavage and all the stuff she's showing. But I love it. I was just curious what you guys think of an 18-year-old with a body, like I say, not the traditional bod doing this.
I'll put this out there. First of all, I had no idea who she was until I saw these photos. But when I was 18, I was doing much more scandalous things. I got a ticket on Sunset Beach, California for indecent exposure for wearing a G-string bathing suit at 18 years old. So the fact that Ariel Winter is wearing a full back bathing suit just pulled up, I have no problem with it. I think it's fine. She's not doing anything totally out there distasteful. She has a great rack. Who cares if she's wearing a halter top? She's got a great ass. Who cares if she's pulling it up? There's a lot more vulgar things going on with people in her age range than what she's doing right here. I think it's hot.
I love her body confidence. I love
this
show.
Exactly.
And she's like, here's who I am. Here's my body. If you don't like it, you're going to criticize, the haters. The haters are going to hate, I mean,
right.
They are. And I think that's so important for women to see that they don't have to look like Julianne Hough, for example, who looks amazing as well. But this is who I am, like love it or leave it. This is my body. And I love that she's showing it. Because she's not doing, I haven't seen all her photos. I don't know what's next for, where it's going to go.
She's not being nasty at all.
She's just saying this is who I am. I don't look like
she's 18. She's having fun. And I think maybe there's a lot of people that they know her as the little girl on Modern Family. They don't want her to grow up, but she's obviously grown. She's obviously grown up, no question about it. But yeah, I just see so much from, especially the different Safe for Work men's blog sites we own. The guys doing articles. I'm looking over. I see Ariel Winter so much, and rightly so. She's out there promoting herself, and good for her. So I'm all for it. And I love the confidence. I'm glad you guys do too. But I kind of figured that's what you guys would say. You guys are cool.
Well, thank you.
No uptight gals on this show today. So hey, and last but not least, because we're getting to the end here, but and Emily, this is right up your alley. This is one of the reasons I chose this. But this was in we own a bunch of radio prep services, and this was in the thing this morning. And I saw this, and Maddie D saw this, and we both said this is something I want to run by you guys. But there's a survey that came out over the week, well, probably late last week, but it was in the news kind of today, where they're saying that the ideal sex session between, man or woman or boyfriend or girlfriend only lasts between 7 and 13 minutes. In other words, too short, they're saying, and this was by, big time Penn State University study. This guy and girl, they interviewed 50 members of the Society for Sex Therapy and Research. They did their homework here, but they said all this crap where people say like, oh, we're going to make love all night and all this. They're saying, no, here's the thing. 1 to 2 minutes, too short. 3 to 7 minutes is adequate. Desirable, best is 7 to 13 minutes. After 10 minutes, they're saying what researchers say, what people tell the researchers is, realistically, I don't want to have sex for 45 minutes straight. I mean, we've all been there, done that, but the desirable length of time for sex where everyone's happy, everyone's satisfied, according to these researchers, is about 7 to 13 minutes. Just wondering what you guys think of that.
I've heard that before as well. That's between 5 and 7 minutes, 7 and 13. I've heard these things. As long as people are happy and satisfied. The thing is that most women, I know their orgasms take between 20 and 40 minutes. So I'm not sure if there's stuff happening before or a little after, because I think this is probably penetrative sex we're talking about.
Yeah, I think they're talking sex, like not guy going down on a girl or anything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think that sounds about right. They're saying this is what everyone's voting. This is what they want. I mean, it is true. Sometimes the hour-long sessions are great, but who's got friggin' time, right?
Yeah, who's got an hour?
No one's got an hour. So
talk to a married guy. Yeah,
exactly. You're like 3 minutes before the kids come home. I mean, I get it. I think that this. I don't know. As long as everyone's happy with this, as long as this is everyone's getting theirs, I think that seems probably about right. Maybe when you're in a relationship and you want to knock it out. What do you think, Andrea?
I agree with you. I think if foreplay is done really, really well, you don't need more than 7 minutes or 13 minutes. Devote the time to teasing, seducing, making her throb, wanting you. And then all you need is 7 minutes. If you're going just straight in with no foreplay, you're going to need 30, 40 minutes. Yep. But if you're doing a good job with foreplay, both people are getting off, you're really focusing on pleasing the other person. Yeah, you don't need hours dedicated to it. I'm with it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I have to say, if you were a subscriber to Sex with Emily, you would know the answers to this, and you wouldn't even have to answer the question. But I figured I'd run it by you guys. But this is the kind of great, as you listen to Emily talk, this is the kind of great advice you get on that awesome podcast. And like I said, it was we have to wrap things up here. Maddie, am I supposed to say anything? I know Jimmy usually wraps it up, but I do want to say thank you so much, Emily, for coming on, and I really appreciate it.
And this is like better threesome than each time the three of us.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I'm gonna do a radio threesome, I'd rather it be this way than with Jimmy involved.
Who's that? It's hot.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored. I'm so proud of you with your podcast. I think it's awesome, and I'm excited. I'd love to have you both back on my show. Andrew, you got to be on my show.
I know. Let's make it happen.
Okay.
Let's make it happen.
So glad being here. Thank you. This is great.
Hey, thanks again to Emily Morse of Sex with Emily for joining us, and as always, our very own Andrea Lowell. Jimmy will be back next week from Italy, and I'm sure he'll have some great stories to share. So make sure you join us for that. You can find links to everything we talked about today at the Safe for Work MrSkinPodcast.com, and our phone number is 304-TALK-SKIN, and if we use your call, we'll send you some Mr. Skin swag. That'll do it for this week, though. Thanks again for listening, and talk to you next time.